You're listening to Eureka on Monocle Radio, brought to you by the team behind The Entrepreneurs, the show all about inspiring people, innovative companies, and fresh ideas in global business. I'm Tom Edwards. Vladimir Prelovac is the founder and CEO of Kagi. Vladimir's a man who believes that you ought to be paying for your internet search engine. In Silicon Valley, he's leading the charge against high-tech behemoths like Google. So, why did he set out on his singular quest? Well, for Monocle, Simon Marks has been finding out.
One day I woke up and realized that the current generation of search engines was insulting my intelligence.
Vladimir Prelovac has no difficulty identifying his Eureka moment. It came back in 2018, a thought process that would eventually lead him to do something that no one else has ever tried.
I realized that I'm not the customer being served, that the customer being served is the advertiser paying for the searches. And as a result of that, the search experience I, as a user, was receiving was suboptimal in many ways.
Suboptimal, the Silicon Valley veteran argues, because when you hop onto Google or Yahoo or any of the other major search engines, the results that your inquiry secures are largely influenced by advertisers who are paying to get their brand names in front of you. Prelovac, a former vice president of web hosting company GoDaddy, thinks that pollutes the entire search experience and takes advantage of millions of users around the world who may not even realize the battle that is taking place behind the scenes for access to their eyeballs.
I was determined that search needed fixing. The other thing I was worried about profoundly at that time, I had just got my third kid. I have 3 girls, and I was terrified of the idea of them growing up with using search engines that will track and profile them every step of the way, that will expose them to thousands of ads, targeting and influencing their behavior. I was terrified of that idea, and it was astonishing to me that even if you wanted, you could not pay for a search engine.
What does this word really mean? Well, if it concerns the internet, it could mean anything. But with AOL, free means free.
From the very dawn of the World Wide Web, giving stuff away for free was a central pillar of the user experience, showcased in this advertisement for America Online, way back in 1995.
Our free trial really won't cost you a penny. We pay all the call charges, our helpline's free, and if you don't want to start paying the subscription fee at the end of the trial, just call us, free of course, and you won't owe us a penny.
Google also, in its earliest advertising, proclaimed the power of its search engine, without dwelling on the commercial thrust that would come to dominate it.
What has Google done for me lately?
What has Google done for me lately?
This ad is from 2005.
My wife and I were blessed to have 2 beautiful twins, a boy and a girl. About 5 weeks later, the boy, Andrew, started shivering. It was scary.
It was a nightmare.
They wanted to do an emergency blood transfusion. Just on a hunch, I went to Google on my cell phone.
And it came up with this article that said not to do the blood transfusion.
We showed the neonatologist who went back and did some research, and ultimately he came back and he said that everything was fine.
Thanks to Google, we went from needing this major procedure for a newborn to being able to go home.
Stirring public service stuff, but Vladimir Prelovac says nearly 20 years later, the world of search urgently needs to change. So he's launched Kagi.com, the first search engine that you pay to use. The word Kagi is Japanese for key. For $10 a month, you can unlock unlimited searches, and already more than 26,000 users have signed up.
I'm pretty much convinced that in the future, more people will value the information they put in their brains. Information we consume shapes our thoughts and behaviors. It has tremendous impact on who we are. So to receive information from the world's largest advertising company sounds really dystopian. I kind of compare it to waking up in the movie Matrix. when these people, wake up and they're being harvested for energy in the same way we are being harvested for our data. Once you wake up and decide that, that's not something you're comfortable with, I think, $10 per month is a small price to pay.
Kagi stores no data regarding its users, and it promises that its search will be as pure as possible. To do that, it sources information internationally, not just from the United States, filters out results that are influenced by paid advertising or contain tracking features, and deliberately downranks them in order to highlight information that is unsullied by commercial considerations.
I'm just happy to have the option to be the customer rather than the product.
Dan Berg is one of Kagi's subscribers. He works in the field of cloud computing financial operations, and he signed up for Kagi after becoming disillusioned with Google.
I do think there is a model and a market for a paid premium service, as long as the quality is premium, which I feel like Kagi is. And so I call them sort of artisanal, right? Like, not everybody needs an artisanal pen, but some people are going to love that writing instrument. And I feel like Kagi search is in that category, where if you are looking for that like artisanal, more premium experience, it's a fantastic option. And I'm really happy that the market has options like this now.
He concedes that Kagi is not for everyone, but the company is now developing additional products that it hopes will attract more users. It's launched a privacy-protecting browser called Orion and is working on an email service that, like its search engine, will not carry any advertising nor be influenced by it. And Vladimir Prelovac's antipathy to advertising even extends to his own company's marketing strategy.
Word of mouth works incredibly well for us. It would be extremely expensive to try to acquire customers otherwise. We'll just let it spread organically, and then a friend of yours converts you for free for us. Talking about Kagi at a dinner party. And that has been the main driver of growth for us, and our customer acquisition cost is zero and has been since inception. And we choose rather to invest in building a better product rather than marketing.
But Kagi does have a mascot, a hand-drawn dog by the name of Doggo, who looks pugnaciously inquisitive, rather like the search engine's users. Around 500,000 searches are conducted each day using Kagi. That is a tiny fraction of the 8.5 billion carried out daily on Google. But Vladimir Prelovac says his self-funded startup is now making money, and even his daughters are getting in on the act.
My kids love it, and the funny thing that happens, at least here in the US, most schools get Chromebooks from Google, and of course they have Google set. And my oldest is fighting their teachers because she changes it to Kagi, and then they are like, what the heck is this? And they change it back to Google. So there are all sorts of, mini wars happening, but I'm convinced, and she's determined, and this idea of first kids having a choice, and that choice being with their best interest in mind, I think is very important, and there's no going back.
He says he would have no problem if Google were ever to decide to launch a subscription search engine to compete with Kagi. But at the moment, he's got the terrain all to himself, and will continue to try and persuade people that the results of any internet search are only as good as the money you pay for them. For Monocle Radio, I'm Simon Marks in Washington.
Thanks, Simon. That was Vladimir Prelovac, the founder and CEO of Kagi, and you can learn more about the mission by heading over to kagi.com. That's all for this episode of Eureka. We'll be back at the same time next week. The programme was produced by Laura Kramer, with mixing and editing by Jack Dewis. Listen again and find out more at monocle.com. That's where you can also join the club and subscribe to Monocle magazine and read more about better businesses every month. To contact the team, write to Laura on lrk@monocle.com. I'm Tom Edwards. Goodbye, and thanks for listening to Eureka.